There is something contaminating the water in the Big Brother house. I'm so convinced. We currently have 3 big controversies going on at one time. It's almost too much to keep up with. There is going to be some heavy stuff to talk about today, but we will get through it. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed below just so you can stay tuned, as I will be doing these recaps all season long. Some of y'all be watching every single video I put out, but you're still not subscribed yet. What's up with that? Now, let's get to business. So when we last left off, Red and Cam were on the block together, with Cameron being the intended target. Pretty much everybody in the house was okay with targeting him, so the plans were looking pretty set in stone. So the house guests are all gonna go off to pick players for the veto ceremony, and when the feeds return back, there is immediately drama surrounding America. She was picked to play in the veto competition, and that really pisses Jared off because he's just assuming that she's gonna throw it. This is gonna lead to a very heated argument between Jared and Cory.
Don't run up to me and fucking Izzy and then basically say, Cory, I gotta let you know you're untrustworthy ally. I'm putting her ass on the block. That's not how our fucking relationship works.
I feel as if she's fucking gonna throw the competition. Cory, she's admittedly told me she's thrown every single competition, bro.
Jared is kinda wrong, but also kinda right here. He's wrong because he's assuming that America is really working with Cam and Red, which totally is not true at all. But at the same time, he is kinda right to target her because she's currently Cirie and Izzy's biggest op in the game.
There's something very fucking funky going on with America. And whether I just don't buy the whole Cameron and Red thing. Great if somebody else does it. What does she do? Probably Izzy. Probably Cirie. I'm pretty fucking sure of it, bro.
I mean, hey, they say a broken clock is right twice a day. This is going to lead us to our first big controversy of the day. Now, this wasn't caught on the feeds, but apparently Jared called America the R word because of this whole debacle. He does apologize for it later, but the damage is already done, of course. This incident sparked some debate within the fandom about whether or not Jared should be removed from the game for using this word, especially considered what happened with Luke earlier this season. So far, there hasn't been any action taken, which doesn't surprise me because I truly believe that the only reason they let Luke go is because this made the news and blew up on the headlines way beyond the BB fandom. There have been various slurs used almost every single season of this show, and usually nothing is done about it. But of course, that doesn't make it right. And if the producers are going to start cracking down on this stuff more going forward, I would have no problem with it, and honestly, neither should you. So this tension is going to continue to fill the air as the players head into the veto competition. This veto ends up being the tiny veto, and when the feeds return, we are immediately left with scrambling and panicking because Cameron has won the power of veto. Cameron is obviously happy that he's going to be taken off the block now, but he's also in complete denial that he was even the target to begin with, which at this point, I can't do nothing but laugh.
I'll take what we can get at this point because we started the week off with 2 big hitters sitting on the block. And I think we're going to come out of this unscathed.
I should.
May not be the exact thing we wanted, but it's progress nonetheless.
I agree.
Now that Cameron will be off the block, there is now a nice empty seat waiting for someone's ass. Only question is who's going to be the one to fill it. Jag is an easy option since he's technically already been voted out anyway. Since being saved, he's honestly done a pretty mediocre job of setting himself up well in the game. He started off pretty decent by at least trying to align himself with the right people, but for whatever reason, Jag decides to have a serious game talk with Red of all people. Only problem is this happens in the public kitchen in front of everybody for 2 freaking hours.
I mean, I don't want it to be a thing where you feel as though you have to target me or I feel as though I have to target you, you know, because I feel like things happened the way they did and it was just kind of unfortunate.
Look, don't get me wrong, it's nice that they're bearing the hatchet and all that, but this is really something that needs to be done privately. Now, people are looking to target Jag again because they're talking about how flip-floppy he is and that they can't trust him.
I think Jag is full of shit. Right?
God only knows what he told Red.
I know,
God only knows. And he talked about Blue doing that.
America is also an easy option because she doesn't have too many close allies in the game. She's been going around kind of trying to flip the house on Cirie and them, but her attempts have been futile. America had tried telling the truth to Jag to bring him over to her side, but it totally didn't work, and now Jag is like solidly with Cirie.
I think Cirie will maybe want us in the game longer, right? Cirie has influence, which is good, because if Felicia gets HOH or if Izzy gets HOH, Cirie will probably be like, yo, don't get them, they're solid.
It even gets to the point where Matt and Cirie get Jag to turn his targets over to America.
She's gotta go.
Just look at Cameron.
Yeah.
Tell him everyone's secrets. Yeah.
She's got to go.
On top of all this, a lot of people seem to think that America is trying to work with Cameron Red, which is totally not true. This is going to lead to our second controversy of the day. Cameron and Red have been totally trying to drag America's name through the mud the past couple days, and it's actually kind of problematic. They just seem to take issue with the fact that she's pretty and that she's trying to flirt her way through the game.
I called her Victoria. That she was like Victoria, just because she kind of floating and using her pretty to get places. I'll tell her that. I'll tell her anything that I said to him about her.
Mm-hmm. Girl,
called her fast.
boy.
And I think that's putting it lightly. I think her, Blue, and Mimi have really similar personalities, except America is willing to use her womanly wiles to get what she wants, which makes it even worse.
I really just think that Cameron's a little bit jealous because America likes Cory instead of him. He even tried telling America that she should just stop hanging out with Cory in general.
I think if anything, your friends on him, he's getting hurt because he notices you probably like Cory more. That's what I'll take from it.
He's like, you gotta stay away from him. He's like, people see that you're up until 3 a.m. cuddling with him.
People don't give a shit about it.
He's like, you have to start separating from him.
He couldn't pull Reilly, he couldn't pull America, but that's just because he has this weirdo energy. Cameron and his weird behavior have been completely missing from the TV edit, and it is a crime. I personally think that it is paramount, no pun intended, that the TV audience gets to see the real Cameron. I mean, they need a new villain for the TV edit anyway. Regardless of all this Cam stuff, America just isn't too solid with any side of the house right now, so her game is just looking pretty bad overall. The last viable option for the block is fucking Bowie Jane.
Fucking Bowie Jane.
Bowie's game this season has probably been the most unique. She probably talks the least game out of everybody, but that's because nobody really wants to work with her. But that's because she doesn't really talk a lot of game. But that's because nobody's really wanting to work with her, because she's not talking game. She's really just stuck in this catch-22 limbo in the house right now. In reality, Bowie is a pretty solid number for Cirie's side, but everybody thinks she's working with Red and Cameron just because she's friendly with them. The general consensus is that Red, Cam, and Bowie are like the big evil trifecta that's playing everybody right now.
I think it might be the safest option to go Bowie Jane, because it is Bowie Jane, Cam, and Red, and it won't look like you going against anybody in your current alliances.
Yeah.
Red is obviously going to be remaining on the block, so he's definitely on the target list too. At first, they were hesitant to vote Red out because it's his birthday week.
Please, Red, win the veto. Please, God, let Red win the veto for his birthday. I cannot have Red on the block for his birthday and continue the saga of bad birthdays for Red.
But honestly, with this house, I would not count on that being his saving grace. Red was always going to be the second target next to Cameron, so that might still be true. I also want to quickly touch on the third controversy of the day, which revolves around production. Usually when the Houseguests go in to do their DRs, the producers will ask them various questions about how they feel about the game and their fellow Houseguests and whatnot. And sometimes these questions can tip off the players into what's going on in the game, which is what happened with Jared. Apparently, Jared's been getting hints from the DR that America isn't really on his side and can't be trusted.
Based off my doctor's appointment, I'm like, why y'all
I got you. Yeah.
talking about that?
Yeah.
Like, it's so much shit to talk about in America. And I'm just like, that's what like solidified it for me, where I'm just like, okay, I think I know exactly what's going on.
The Houseguests are not allowed to talk about their DR sessions in the house, so when Jared says doctor's appointment here, he's really referring to the DR. Now, I don't necessarily think production is tipping him off on purpose. Players from both Survivor and Big Brother have mentioned in interviews before that you can kind of use tactics like this to decipher the dynamics in the game. The production questions are not supposed to affect the game, but of course sometimes they do, so it's just something to be on the lookout for. So, overall, right now, there are so many options on who the real target could be. And honestly, with the way this house is, I can't make any predictions either way. Red is probably the safest bet to go home, but it could really be any of the people I mentioned today. Of course, I will be back to let you all know if anything is finalized, but I could also see the targets switching up literally every single hour up until the eviction. So, with that being said, until next time, peace.